All right, welcome to Wednesday. Let's take a moment and get set up here. See. Click some buttons, do some things. All right, so yeah, today's gonna be a bit more of a boring stream for, well, depending on your perspective. Fixing bugs can be fun. So the app is actually in a pretty good place right now, surprisingly good place. So page flip transition, that works. So we've got page 1, page 2, and page flipping all working pretty solidly. I just recorded some clips for the devlog, which I hope to put out this week. I've been hoping to put it out for weeks now. I definitely think this week it's going to go out. Just have to record one more clip and do some editing. But that works. That's there. Again, that's the video. That'll be improved. And so now I just got to fix some bugs. So let me, here's the thing. Let's do, today's goal, fix bugs, improve test suite, refactor a little. Let's do that. Normally these would be two separate things, but you know, what are you gonna do? So the app, yeah, I mean, I won't demo it now. If you care, you can see it in the devlog when I put it out, but the app's looking pretty solid, as I said. So let's get to it. The one bug I'm fixing right now is, well, actually, let me confirm here where I'm at. So yeah, handling page flipping, still open. I have a couple of code changes that I'm working on. Where is my, let's do a git diff, see what we got. Yeah, so I got rid of this test runner thing. I don't think I need this sleep. Right, so that's what I'm going to refactor right now. That definitely seems unnecessary. This can be much tighter. So what we will do, we can do, yeah, fine. It's a process page. Yeah, let's do a const boolean. Is that a, where else have I done this? Do you pass it through? I thought to understand this syntax, like the ampersand, does that make it a pointer to a constant boolean? Is that what that means? We'll call page num. And then we'll put that here. And then we'll do 0, and we'll do 1. That's happy. This is happy. Who's unhappy? Are there any other booleans here? Hold on. Interesting how I have that set up. Hold on, is this now happy? Okay, that is happy. Whatever. Worst case, the syntax is slightly off. It doesn't really matter. So when we process the page, the only time this matters then to do this lock and the set is we're in here. So we'd get past these checks. We would do the cropping. We'd merge frames. Like this alone takes like 2 seconds. So there's really no reason why we need to do this explicit sleep here. It's just wasting time for no good reason. So all this can be running already while we're still passing the last chunk up to the front end for the previous page. And who knows, we might already be done, right? Because we may have dropped out early, crashed out early. So we come down here, and it's really... I mean, I could put it in here. But it's really here where it's needed. Yeah, I guess I got page num and page number. I don't like this. I don't like this kind of global hackery. What if we did current page number? Or it's like we're working on that page. I don't love that. Maybe I'll refactor it one day in the distant future. Didn't I say today was a refactor day? And yet here I am not refactoring. That's fine. Name consistency first and foremost. Okay, so all those things, they'll take time. We do our rescaling, enhancing contrast and sharpening, crop with margins, like all that stuff adds up. So that's all going to be at least a half second. So yes, we have a possible race condition. In theory, if things are fast enough, we have a problem. But I don't know. We could pass it through one more layer. I guess I'll do that. Why not? Fine, let's do it. Let's do it properly, shall we? So we'll plop this here. And we'll drop it here. And now what we can do, which is pretty great, is I can get rid of this. Oh, come on. Highlight. There we go. Wait. Sorry. We can pass this in like that. Now we cut it. And when we're processing chunks, we're already locking the result mutex, right? So now plop that there, and there we go. So now we only do the lock once in the scope of this block here. Scoped here. And now we only set the page number when we're actually done with a chunk. So I guess we've always had a race condition, right? Where, in theory, if we somehow OCR'd quick enough, we could set these values, set the text, set the page number, set page number, text, chunk counter, and then we store true. And then in theory, if we came back around this while loop and ran quick enough, we could set this before that signal gets a chance to go up to Godot. Now, I think the odds of that happening are so minuscule because Godot, the process step is happening on every tick of the engine, the game engine, which is like 60 hertz, 60 frames per second or something like that. Might be less, but that's multiple times per second. So it would really have to be, we'd be finished here. This store true is really the thing that tells the signal to trigger. So after we set this and we leave this block, on the next tick of the engine, it's going to pick up these values and send the signal. And so we would really have to, we'd have to be super fast. Okay, this is the final solution to the problem. The sleep, I think the sleep worked, but the sleep had risk. And also it adds complexity. So now I don't need any of this nonsense. We can get rid of that. We can get rid of these. Oh, now we don't even have to care about success. Yeah, see, I didn't even need the return. So now it's just find text regions, process. Much more clean business logic. Much more readable to understand what it's doing. And I'll do a comment here. Page 1. Well, page 0. Well, we can just do right page. And we'll do left page. Which also then kind of tells you that the shape comes back and we know it's a vector. We know it's an array. The 0th is going to be the left, which I just know. I've always known that. And the first is the right. So makes it a little bit more readable. Cool. How's the test suite feel about that? The biggest issue with the test suite now is I have this issue now where it's going to process everything. So the test suite's going to run slower because it's going to do left page, right page. It's just we only report on and score on one versus the other. Right now I've got that as hard coding, but today we're going to end up removing this so that for some test cases we can do both. And then of course the other issue then is we get all this extra logging at the bottom. 72.08, 72.05, 5 seconds. Okay, fine. I'll replace this. Hold on, this works. Staying on the same page also works. We don't stream chunks and instead optionally replace the page with a better one. Cool. So I think that's it. I think I'm kind of done there. With this, merge this PR, and then let's move on to the next thing. So let's do quit, and we'll do a git diff. Let's run through it one last time. Cool, so I ripped out all that code. We now just have the two process functions, change some function signatures, passing things through. Here's where we set that value now finally. And then the .h changes. Meta, you need to leave me alone. And then the test suite. That's it. It's literally all I had to change. Okay. Yeah, fine. And I technically should test this one more time on the headset, but I did just test the headset this morning, so I don't think it broke anything, and if it did, it'll be an easy enough fix. Might as well do a build though. just to have it. Let's give that a moment, and then we will... Oh yeah, I need to add this .af.sh, add files. It's a little shortcut. I should use that more. I think I'll sneak that into the next PR. I also had run debug. I don't think run debug ever worked though. That's why it's just sitting there as a file that I haven't added to source code. All right, so that little script I created just adds all the files that I might want to add and then spits out so I can see what it did. Awesome. So now we'll say test harness now okay with multi-page processing. Get push origin page transitions. I think at some point I will... One thing I could do is instead of running, you know, the test harness like this one last time in order to grab those results, I'm not going to do this yet just because I know exactly how to do it and it probably would only take me a little bit of time. I'm not going to do it today. But I have done it before. I mean, I should be able to do it where I have a GitHub action run it, and when the GitHub action's done, it takes this report and spits it out onto here for me. Super cute. I don't know how much I care. Let's do one last skim code review. Yeah. Ooh, okay, I want to remove that. GameState.gd. Yeah, this isn't needed. So we'll clean that up. Page num, self.lines, sure. These little checks. Some white space changes there, whatever. Okay, all this got ripped out. Right, so this file's a little bit, this function's a little bit smaller now, but now we have a bunch of new functions. Do a bunch of things. Okay. Right. Yeah. Oh, this whole line count thing on page text, that's not needed. I don't need the extra logs for no good reason. That was line count on 41. Yeah, okay. Let's just nuke that. Got rid of the double emit. I commented out some things. I probably won't bring those back. Yeah, I did change this to a Boolean. I'll keep the return like success fail for now. Simplified the test suite slightly, but then made it more complicated. Cool, yeah. Let's do... We'll call that cleanup. Why is that not pushing? I was like, huh, it's a little weird. Usually you get this little refresh icon here, and that didn't happen. All right, that's fine. Calling this a success, call it done. Squash merge, handle page flipping is the name. All right. I'll kill that. Let's kill VS Code while we're at it. Git checkout main. It's always there like that. Git checkout add-ons. The whole add-ons thing is really annoying. Git branch -d page transition. Git pull origin main. And there we are. We're back to a clean slate. We can bring Godot up again. So this merged. Do I need to care about this anymore? Display to page 2 text. I was gonna say, I thought that got merged. All right, 7205, 7208. Time got a little bit slower, I guess, somehow. I'll have to work on that. This really, ideally, this is down around 3 seconds, because if it's on whatever time it is on the local machine with a GPU, when you put it on the headset, it's significantly slower. But okay, I accept that as is. I mean, I guess it also is a question of, did I run it without, I think when I record, that also slows things down, so who knows. That number might not actually be a good number. I think this one I record, yeah, whatever. Better OCR chunking. This was merged. Yeah, 72.08. We're back to 7208. Okay. And then this is something, you know, maybe I'll pay off this debt today, because I think I need to clean up some of this. And then this is from other stuff that I've thought about coming back to. All right, let's bring that to in progress. All right, let's get started. I think what we're gonna do is get rid of this test case. We're not gonna run it. So if I remove that, because I think that that test case is just, it's never going to be a good score, and there's no real benefit to it. Like, the test doesn't there's nothing that it tests that's worth testing that isn't tested by something else. If that makes any sense. And like, I, in theory, could improve alignment to make it better, but it's such a garbage edge case that it's not real. It's not a real problem. I wonder what I'm curious what our average score is once we get rid of that one. So our final test report, we are now close to like a score of 90, which is cool for an average score. So let me start cleaning up some things that I want to clean up. So one thing that's always just bugged me, it's a little thing, but I think I want to get rid of this. Like, this is a public method actually. Oh, I wonder. Yeah, let me look at Godot logger. Let's go logging. Godot engine. Where's the docs? Logging. Creating custom loggers. So Godot 4.5 added custom loggers. So you register it. Okay, I do want to do that. I'm not going to do that today, though. But let's clean up files one by one, actually. Let's do that. Invalid argument. Okay, I think the reason why I did underscore log is because log might actually be a reserved thing. Global method log. Oh, like logarithm, logarithmic. Okay, what if I... Fine, I guess I'll call it logger for now. Okay, I can do that. The underscore just kind of bugs me. Logger, a little more verbose, but... Okay, can we do a replace? Here we go. GameState.log. We're just going to replace that with logger. Boom, look at that. And then what we can do is we can do print, replace that with logger. Line 81. That's okay. Let me do a diff here, just to, because there are different prints, and there's a chance that I could have broken something just now. Yeah. Yeah, that's dumb. Because it's supposed to be print, debug, print rich. Oops. All right, let's not swap out the prints just yet. These are notes for myself on, do I want to like do something better than that? Otherwise, this all looks fine. Yeah, see, that's nicer. A little bit. Right, now I can do and we can replace those with, oh, I want to replace those with game state dot, because it's got to be game state dot. We might be able to do on ready. Let's try this. Let's see if this works. Oh, but it would be a callable, right? Godot callable. If I just do it as a string for now, and I say it's game state dot logger like that, and we'll make it a callable. That might work now. And I would put that on its own, let it sit by itself. And then for the moment, just to test this, I would do, I'm going to dunder log, and it's just going to call logger with message. Cool. So that way this still exists. And it's just going to do the same thing. It's just going to call logger. And I want to do that so I can call my test harness real quick. Skip the build. -k shaky. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just run one test real quick. Confirm that it scores well. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so it's going to run a whole bunch of extra times and log a whole bunch of extra files. I probably want to fix that. So now we're going to end up with... Oh, we may actually replace them? Or no, that counter... Yeah, that could be a problem. I'll have to fix that. In any case, why did that fail? Shaky leg is supposed to score a 92. Oh, but it's supposed to not be... Oh, of course it failed because of the time. All right, that's fine. Maybe something I can fix. Cool. So that worked. That's great. That's amazing. Let's get rid of this then. And now I can do this new thing, this new cool thing, where loggers are callable. Do we use log here? Nope. do a log here. Switching between AR and VR, nope. And then we do. So I'll put this, I may have to reorganize my imports at some point. But now if I replace all, dot logger. Oh, logger.call instead? That's annoying. Okay, what if I flip this script then a little bit slightly? And I bring it down here. Why didn't they complain about that on the other one? Ugh. So the way to do this would be something like func logger message string void. Be like that. It's not the worst. It's just a shortcut. Am I okay with that? I guess I am. I don't love it. But why did it like it up here? I don't like the callables. You can't just call them. Why can't you just throw parens on them and make it happen? All right, so fine. This will be my pattern for now. At least it's all in one spot, and then later I can swap that out with a proper logger, maybe. Yeah, I like that. So here we go. There's that, and then OCR manager. We can throw this up here, like that, place all. What are you talking about? It's literally right there. That's probably just Godot needing a moment to sort itself. What if I put it there like that and save it? Now it's a thing. And then I can do replace all. And now it's probably okay. And now here, again, I'll throw it at the top. save the file, replace all, and now we got nice, beautiful little logger calls that just work. Then OCR manager, it's still not liking this, but I bet if I do a reload, it's probably okay with it. Wow, it does not like it. Oh, Godot also now supports like as many arguments as you want to a function type thing, which is cool. Maybe what I'll try to do is upgrade to actual proper 4.5 today, because I'm on 4.5 Dev 4. Last time I tried to do an upgrade, like it had issues with the camera. Maybe I'll try to get that today, because 4.5 has enough interesting new features that I should try to see if I can get it working. So it's still 71 that it doesn't like. Failed to compile depended scripts. Wow, it does not like this. Parser error. Huh. But if I run it, yeah, maybe I will run the whole test suite just so I don't log files over and over again. I think I have a dot skip there, right? Yeah. Wow, so it is not liking this little thing I'm doing. In base self. Is it maybe because this has a logger? So if I do in game state func foobar void print hello, if I do that and then over here like foobar is not a thing, but GameState.foobar is. Speak to me, Godot. How do autoloads work? Automatically load nodes at the root of your project, allowing you to access them globally. That can fulfill the role of a singleton. They are never freed. The cutting audio issue. For example, let's say we are building a platformer and we want to collect coins that play a sound effect. Sure, fine. Huh. Fine. Singleton autoloads, blah, blah, blah. Singleton pattern. Yeah. Here's where you put them. Did all that. Fine. I don't really get it. So if I call it loggers, oh, wow. Okay, that's not... Oh, because it's a class. Huh, okay. That, I guess, makes some sense. But you're telling me I can do that, but I can't do... Hold on, this is like a node. Okay, that's interesting. Godot call func outside of class. That seems to be the issue. Cannot call a function from another class. No, that's fine. I'm not having this issue. Okay. Let's see here. Fine, cool. In Godot 4.5, I have a func inside of a class. I'm attempting to call a function in the same script that isn't a class member and am getting the error. Can I copy this? I thought there was like a copy error button. Fine. When you're inside a class and trying to call a function that's defined outside the class, you need to use the correct syntax to access it. So for instance, get script? Seriously? I have to do that? That seems stupid. Why? Because I think I know why. Because Godot always assumes when you do this, it's assuming like there's really just like a self here. Even though you never said self, the self is implied. So it's looking for a self.logger. Okay, so the error is not with this. The fact that I'm doing this is perfectly fine. That's not what it's complaining about. The issue is that any log statement I try to do in any of these classes, since I got multiple classes here, they're all going to that's a decision. Godot, you made a decision there to imply self everywhere. Self just being implied. Alternative approach. Move the logging function inside the class. I don't want to do that. I guess I could do that. Gross. But then again, I have to go utility function dot stupid. Script ref is script ref, var script ref. But again, it's the same thing. Godot, I'm not sure how I feel about. Not sure how I feel about that. And I'm not sure how I feel about this making things better or worse for me. See, now this file's happy. This also means, for better or for worse, that this class doesn't have direct access to any properties on the node. Now, in this case, it's like just a basic vanilla node, and I don't really have a need to access anything. But that does mean that if I did have anything to access on the node directly, this class doesn't have access to it, which could be a good thing for control, to basically say, look, if you're doing something in a function, unless you were explicitly passed data to work on, you shouldn't be calling random shit on the node. On self, like the parent self. Yeah, I mean, another solution could be I could do an abstract base class that this extends from, that all my classes extend from, and they could all include a logger. I may want to do something like that anyway. Right now, I don't like the behavior, but I think I'm okay with it. But where else are we having this issue? So game state itself having the problem? No. Page text. If it's just that one then, because I'm not using that many classes. I'm not typically a fan of class-based anything. Now it's happy. So it was really just that one class for now. All right, fine. I'm okay with that for now. I may change it later. Let me just run the app and kill it. And now let's take a look at these errors. That's fine. Singleton object. Here, let's see these. Initializing XR, that's fine. Integer division. OCR manager 55. This is true. So what I do want is I think I do want the integer version of it, to be fair. So that's being a little more explicit. And then also on 96. So the average start X Oh, interesting. Well, it is going to be an integer, though. It's going to end up being an integer. But if we do times 1.3, like this is a float, this ends up being a float. If we did it both integer, we'd lose precision. Okay, fine. Let me treat it like a float. Or can I do like a double? Or I can just do it a float. Fine. Let's make it a float. Floating point number. And then when we multiply it, we'll again end up with a floating point number. But we can take an integer of this, because this is going to be an integer. And we'll just check to see, is this integer bigger than that integer? Okay. $103. Average y. Let's see here. Where do we call that? So now we're returning in integers. Okay, so if I clear this and I run it again, we may have just gotten rid of a bunch of those warnings. So that's what I'm working on now. I just want to clear out a bunch of warnings. See, it's still saying integer division. Decimal part will be discarded. But I'm okay with that. I want that. Is that interesting? That's a little odd. Okay, what if we do float of this, and then we do a float of that. So we do two floats, we make them floats, we add them together and divide by 2. Does that warning go away? Line 96 warning. It did. Because that's 55. 96 is gone. So that's interesting. So Godot, even though in other languages, if you did that division, if you took two integers and divided them, it would automatically make them a float. But Godot doesn't do that. Godot says, oh, I assume you want to keep this as an integer, so I'll keep it there, unless you explicitly say, I want these as floats. Huh. All right, I'll keep that like that for now. What is this complaining about again? Float is converted to int and loses precision. But it shouldn't be. Oh. I want it to be an int. We're just getting the average y. We want that to be an integer. We're returning an integer now. So I think the integer return is implied here then. I don't need to do this because it's going to imply integer conversion. Is that true? I should get a bunch of less warnings now. A bunch of those warnings should disappear. 18, yeah. Right, so Godot implies, not because of this return, but just integer plus, integer divided by 2, which could result in a float. It assumes you want an integer out of that, out of this result. And then this just, I am saying, in fact, yes, I'm returning an integer, and then I was using an integer here. Again, this is still, that's a valid warning. Again, it's just telling me I'm doing integer division. So the decimal is going to be discarded. Does that mean that they don't do rounding then? So they're not going to round up or round down. They're just going to chop it off. So it's a floor, effectively. Fair enough. I'm going to change this logic anyway, I think, so. Not going to worry about that. Float converted to int. So line score is returning a float. It is returning a float. It shouldn't be. That should be an integer. Because strong words.size, it's an array, it's a list. Again, 55. Okay, here we go. On image capture, we don't do this anymore. Yeah, this doesn't need to exist. In fact, a lot of this can get cleaned up now. So I'm not instantiating these things. Camera enhancer's not getting called like that anymore. So all that can go away, which means this can go away. So on ready, all we do is wire up the one signal. Merge pages. So this was an experiment to improve quality by merging multiple results. Right. So this is that line by line merging. Oh, it's shadowing. Okay. But would I be doing this here anyway? This is all in game state. I think it's the OCR manager that would be taking care of it. Because if we're down here, yeah, here's how we have the to-do. And then we decide whether or not to add the page. But we'd only do it in this one scenario. So it should be in the, again, I think the OCR manager should do this, not game state. So this is literally no longer relevant. So this is PR23. Which is gone. I killed that. Breaks down when trying to do it at the line or word level. Okay, so this is back in July, and I said I've said it many times. It's often good to write comments for yourself because You never know when you're going to come back to something. So merge, but disabled the merging step. So the code, this is where I added that code. So this code was added here. So it works well for which version of OCR is better. Keep the better one. Which, by the way, I'm already doing that. I literally have a new version of that now, which is here. If scored better, replace. And just swap them. But it breaks down when trying to do that at the line or word level. I suspect this would only really work once we can consistently get most scans above 90%. So I think back in July, this wasn't true. I think I was still dealing in the 80% range for a lot of things. Merging two 90% pages may work okay. Merging worse pages is hard to do. But also to even be sure they're the same page to begin with. I've already solved that problem. Well, at least this past week I did. So, this only matters then after we've already had a single good 90% plus page. Pretty much consistent now. Every time I OCR anything, it's 90% plus. Which at that point means this is a minor improvement, or at the very least a problem for the further future. Eventually we'll make this a SQLite DB. Store all the pages we find. Oh, yeah. This is for like storing pages over time. So then they could flip back. Right, I forgot I was going to do this. Right. Okay. So if we don't have page one, we set it. Otherwise, we check our similarity. We call merge. So I don't think I need this. That can at least be nuked. And now this function's a little bit tighter. To do, if we aren't in the test suite and the new chunk coming in exists in the current page, skip all of this logic. Okay, this also is not needed because I already implemented that. So now adding new page is as simple as debug log the page and then figure out which one it is and set it. This is after the debug logging basically. And then we trigger a signal. So now this method is quite simple. Debug logging is pretty simple. I just added this, didn't I? Right, because I was dealing with logger issues. All right, no, let's not get down too far the rabbit hole of cleanup. But I think it was here, right? So fine, our logger we can ignore. Here we are. This is the merge pages. So this is the complaint, is that it's... Yeah, but it's not page 1, page 2. So step 1 is this shouldn't even be here. If it lives anywhere, it's OCR Manager. Dumped at the bottom here. After a bunch of logic that's not used anymore. And since we're in OCR Manager, we can get rid of these references. Which is honestly kind of a sign that this probably belonged here to begin with. And I don't think we have a notion of page 1, page 2 here, because page 1, page 2, that's game state cares about that. So if nothing else, this logic is at least now safe to store here. But I might delete this. The next step after I resolve these warnings is I'm gonna go through and delete old code that's not needed anymore. So if I run this again, down to 14. The top couple ones are always gonna happen, so that's fine. Here we go. Okay, variable min has the same name as a built-in function. Okay, let's not do that then. And this is the merge pages logic. Okay, so we can just be a little more specific then. Is 0 if I is 0, else I minus 1. Final page size. Fine. We'll do index, right? Min and max index, I think is what this is effectively being. There. Okay, parameter image. Doesn't do anything. Okay, so this is debug HUD. This is a signal we don't use anymore. I mean, I'm already getting all the debug images I need. So I don't think this does anything anymore that I need. What were we doing? Writing file, image.savepng. Yeah, all this is happening actually, I think on the back end actually. So this is happening in C++ now. So I can clear that out. And I can nuke this function. Yagni. If it's ever needed, I know where I clean these things up. Okay, that doesn't exist anymore. All right, let's just rerun real quick. Nine. Whew. Now we're getting into something. Standalone ternary operator. The return value is being discarded. Sure. I don't care. On text scanned. Okay, here's the thing. These things are never being used. Right. So it's saying if they're not used, prefix them with an underscore as like a Godot engine sort of expectation. So I'm used to, in some case, like in Python as a convention, you do that for things that are private. But Godot is using it for things that are ignored. All right, let's now take a look at where we're at. So those first two errors are just because we're not running on the headset. While I'm at it, I might as well run on the headset real quick. Just to make sure we didn't break anything. Anyway, these first three warnings should all go away when the app actually runs. And then we have integer division, which I don't care about, and then the standalone ternary. Okay, so we're down to 0 warnings, effectively. As opposed to 20-some warnings. And I want that because if new warnings pop up, I want to know that they matter. So cool, that's a base level of cleanup. And let's see. I don't care about any of this anymore. Let's run a build just to do it. And then we'll put this on the headset and confirm that everything's working fine. Since I'm going to do that, I'll share my screen. Maybe I'll give you a quick little taste of this app working at this point. Let's cast. There we are. Plop that over there. Build finished, or no, it's still going, taking a second. Here, I'll drag this off screen, that way I can pop it back in the second I need it to. Come on, why are you taking so long? Okay, there we go. And then we'll send it to the headset. And do I have... I do. Give that a moment, and then, yeah, I mean, it's always cool. I'm actually starting to have fun using it. So, I mean, there's a bunch of bugs. There's a bunch of things where I'm like, if I actually start trying to read a book with this app, I'm going to get frustrated real quick with the bugs. But that's a good thing, because I think then the bugs will piss me off. I'll go fix the bugs, and then slowly get it to a place where it actually feels maybe even nice, maybe, crazy idea, to read a book. YouTube is complaining about not getting a good stream. Presumably, that is temporary. Maybe it's just because I'm screen sharing plus Godot's building. Maybe. And Twitch seems happy. This is feeling slow. I don't know. My local machine seems fine, although my FPS is at 2930. That's fine. CPU is low. Not normally that low. All right, come on, finish putting it on the headset. Let's go. Come on. Running, installing, blah, blah, blah. And finish. Come on. I know you can do it. There we are. Add permissions. Oh, darn. Well, that's fine. That's annoying. It's because I'm casting too early. I can't cast like this or else the permission error is going to be a problem. So I need to relaunch it, which means I won't get debug log, but meh, that's fine. Cool. I think I'm gonna be, let's do here. Crashed? You don't crash. How dare you crash? Let me get another one of these up, and then where's VS Code? I think I probably just want this. There we go. And then let's launch it again. Let's try this again. Again, if I did break something, I'd like to know about it now. So this was working this morning. Let's launch it, and then logcat should start getting stuff. There we go. All right. Doing its thing, and crashes. So what error did we get? So book too far away. Too far away, fatal. Huh? And it just crashes. All right, let me kill that. I probably didn't need to do that to kill it that badly. Let's install it again. And at least I'll get set up for casting. I can cast, I just have to cast after it puts it on the device. Do permissions, and then we can cast. And I'll pick up the headset while I'm at it. And let's see, do we actually get, yes, we're getting logs. I always have to do this little weird dance. There we go. Now in theory, so go find a book. So it hasn't found a book yet. Now it's saying the book's too far away. Come on, why aren't you triggering? Maybe the lighting in this room isn't the best. Interesting. It is possibly lighting. Let me see about getting the lighting on. Okay, well now let's try it. Huh, oh, we'll go, now it says it's processing. Ooh, that's a weird delay. But it didn't crash. So why didn't it crash? Interesting. here we're getting the other chunks coming in. For whatever reason, it decided that was a title. I need to fix some bugs there. What happened here? It kept saying that it was too far away. And it wasn't rectangular enough. It did briefly say it was good, but it wasn't quite rectangular enough. And then also, why is this crashing? Yeah, now we're on to page 2. And is that correct? In spite of? Yes. Hanging out. Okay, yeah, so this did an okay job. So now I want to know what I want to know now. So what happens if I kill it? Okay, so that's it finishing. If I kill the app and now relaunch it, why is it okay? I think there is a delay in the messaging. I think that's a thing. Now it's working now. Why did it crash before? If I turn off the light again, do we have like some weird like bad lighting issue? I'll quit. I'll literally restart it. Launch it again. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So now if the lighting is bad, do we have a problem? No. So why was it crashing? Very weird. I don't know why it was crashing. All right, that's fine. I'm going to call it okay. I'm going to call it good. And I'm going to move on to something else. All right, so that's fine. I'm going to assume everything's still working the way it should be. Let's go clean up some junk. Let's do it file by file. We'll just go through these files. So this is initializing debug camera, quality capture, camera capture. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that anymore. So that's gone. If not, use XR. I don't think this matters anymore. Well, I mean, not that we were doing anything. Because we only ever attach the debug HUD when we are running outside the test suite. So that's okay. Initialize the debug panel. I haven't tested the debug panel in a while. It could be broke as a joke, and I just wouldn't know it. I was testing a bunch of different file saving stuff. I don't think this actually matters anymore. All my file saving I'm doing on the back end anyway, in C++. Let me switch to water. Coffee's done. So that can go away. Capture high quality image. Oh, how quaint. I remember back when I was manually triggering capturing as opposed to just constantly pulling the feed. To do this as a core game state loop on main that runs every 10 seconds, question mark. Get a signal. We can then call the method immediately when an OCR for process. Oh, wait. No, gross. No, no, no. We don't do any of this anymore. Process image, cute. No, we don't do any of that. We do grab an image here just so we can get a texture and display it. Okay, so that's why this matters. But that was on detector toggle. Okay, yeah, so I would manually trigger it. I don't even know we do that anymore. And then write text files, create log file is a thing. Yeah, okay, I think that is a thing. All right, now this file is looking pretty tight. Detector. Do we even use the detector anymore? Debug HUD. We do. Okay, so that's used there. We'll group those export vars at the top. Bunch of extra blank lines here that don't matter. Double space breaks, yeah. This is largely junk script anyway. All right, game state. So we're not doing this. We didn't do this whole OCR manager thing. So that can go away. Error log, where were you getting used? Add page text. So we were displaying the error log in the app. I do kind of like that idea. But this feels like something that the debug HUD would do. I'm going to nuke it. Again, Yagni. So, dir file contents, is that even used anywhere here? Or is it the debug HUD? No. It was a useful little utility. Oh, test suite, doesn't that do something like that? What if we talk about dir access? So this is write files for the debug HUD. Yeah, I don't think you have to click it. I think anytime you open a file, it immediately... Yeah, it does. Create folder. Write text file. I think I'm going to move this to the test suite. Nobody's using it elsewhere. And I'm fine with that being a little bit of a dumping ground for the moment. Write text file is used here. Okay, so both test suite. Yeah, they both need it. I could create a debug singleton that gets loaded. I'm not going to do that right now, but we do have this game state singleton, and we load that somewhere. Or it auto loads. I wonder if there's one where we can conditionally load it. But anyway, that would allow for some sharing. All right, so I've declared this done. Okay, here we are. This logger's got some junk in it. But I already know I need to refactor this. And probably, once I upgrade to 4.5, consider ripping this out and replacing it with a more proper logger. Okay, all this is good. That's it. Game state is now pretty tight. Main, what do you got? So main. Yeah, these I had already established as being cleaned up pretty well. Global reading room debug. Get settings. Project settings, right. Start the HUD. $100 milliseconds. Right, so this is where I made that note. So on process, we call, like on delta, we call process. So that's like 1/10 of a second. So 10 times per second, we call this. But we're not capturing and storing an image every 10 seconds. Call this C++ image capture and signal triggers every 100 milliseconds. Otherwise, this is good. Set up HUD. Initialize pass-through feed. Yeah. Yeah, everything's called from somewhere. Yeah, I know this is called. Yeah, so that we can just switch. We can toggle. Is VR interesting? Where are you called from? Oh, you're not even called. Switch to AR. On text scanned, we decide to switch to VR. On process, okay, so I kept this helper method around, but we're not really even using this. Let's remove things we don't use. Cycle the camera or else it will crash. No, we don't need to do that. Call delayed. Are you even used? You are a beautiful, cute method, but I don't think... Okay, I like how I don't have to like click the arrow. So other editors, I would have to do that. Again, I'm going to use that as a dumping ground, the test suite. Just for the moment. Get things out of here. So those aren't needed. I don't need to start and stop the camera. Whatever that was, whatever that issue is, I think Meta fixed it because I haven't needed to do that. Exit tree I think you always need. And then you are called from somewhere. Yeah. That's it, right? Right hand is not used anywhere. Left hand is. I'll refactor that. That's one of the new things coming, but for now it's okay. So there's a bit going on here, but it's not too bad. Let's make that private. I guess that's where, like, technically it should be underscore logger, but I'll allow that to be public. All right, now we got the OCR manager. Before I get to that one, we'll do that one last. This guy doesn't have much going on. This, do I still need this? Yeah, I'll leave this for now, but I kind of needed this to test displaying text. So we have get page here. It's just called from there. Page text updated. Forward and words, I don't need that. That's it. Not much going on there. Test suite might have some ugliness. All right, so let's do OCR manager. Now, images are not used anywhere. Debug label. Also not used anywhere. Time of day. It is, but it's all commented out code, right? Okay, I'm gonna keep the time of day stuff for now. Debug label wasn't used, right? Yeah. Okay, so these three can get nuked. Camera enhancer's gone. Test counter, that's used. Current time, fine. Time.noon. Even if I don't bring back that plugin for the day-night cycle stuff, because that plugin tanked things in the scene. I'm going to be working on this very soon. I'm going to be bringing this back in some form or fashion, even if it's just something I'm implementing myself, where I have static scenes that I flip between. Take a breath, take a thought, take another sip. This deprecated will matter once I upgrade 4.5. Do we have get simple text anymore? That was used in ye olden times. Possibly no longer. How were we using this? All right, let me start at the end. On text scanned, we do this new processing that we were doing. And then we decide whether or not we add a page to game state. What do we have going on down here? Debug log, score, print. All right, I think that's not needed. Let's just nuke that. It's just some basic logic. Do Hawker transformation here. New rules. Generator, book metadata. Page number location. Max page lines, page title location. So I did have some thoughts before, and I'll get back to it again, but like detecting page numbers and storing that on a page, because we do have the notion of an OCR page, that it could have a title and a page number. If line is mostly numbers and short, it's a page number. If line is a few words, but B-box is more than 50% width, it's a title. Yeah, this is not really something I'm dealing with anymore right now. If new OCR, generate page, check page number in DB. All right, let me... Oh, that's what that does. Okay, I'm like, what am I doing here? Let me move this over to a task. So do I have a task for page numbers and titles? Sorry, one more second. Page numbers and wait, page headers and footers. Let's call it that. Hitting enter adds a new task. That's really annoying. Delete. All right, let's pull you out. At some point, we should parse and display the usually top header of a page that usually says the tagline for the chapter. We should also handle page numbers. If we can do this reliably, we might be able to target this early and use it to help with page flipping logic. Not that I really need help with page flipping logic, but old rules for this I was once considering. Let's call it first half 2025. So early in 2025. There. Nice. Pasted as a little bit of a comment block. I think I might leave this here. So this was from this test file. It had these words. And then I knew, so grabbing half the lines and then we get the simple text. So we clean our strings. Got you. Okay, but we're doing per line though. So we're just getting the line text, but then we're splitting it. We're then cleaning we were cleaning all those words to just get just like super clean words. And then checking if that word is in the list. Let me bring back day night cycle. So we may never bring back that heavy plugin as it hurts XR performance. But one way or another, we will want to flip between day and night. Old code here. And by the way, I will let me cut this out. Let's just cut it. I think. I might regret this in 5 seconds, but really? No errors? I'm a little surprised. All right, now what do we got? Sleep for 5 seconds, run again for second half of page. Do this twice or more for page 2. So that was a form of chunking. But we don't need to do that anymore. Detect a keyword in text. All right, let's pull that out and dump that here. And I can delete this now. Great, so now this file, this function is fairly basic. Well, not basic, but it's advanced logic, but it's simpler. Merging of pages. I'm going to leave this here for now, because I may bring this back soon. I'm tempted to delete it, but I do want to do some version of this. And at least according to my pull request, this did kind of work. Add OCR chunk is just fine. Do need to refactor get score, but we're not going to do that right now. Get OCR line and word are both already pretty tight. Ready has just a single signal. OCR word is just a container. OCR line. I mean, I have some useless functions here, like is page number, but I'm going to leave that for now. I'm probably not going to refactor any of this. Is line height used? It is. No. Oh, yeah. Is it? Yeah. Find matching lines. Compute metrics. It's a little bit ugly, but and get score. I'm not gonna touch any of that. It's always best in my mind to wait until code hasn't changed in a while to do a refactor, and I have messed in this class recently. So usually it's better, I think, to wait like a month when you've got some perspective and hindsight's 20/20 and you've had a chance to fix any bugs. And then once that's the case and the code isn't changing anymore, then it's a good time to circle back and with fresh eyes, now that you're older, you're wiser, passage of time, you know, because for all you know, like you write new code today and a week from now you may rip out that same code. So why would you refactor it and tighten it up when you're going to rip it out anyway? So I often find it's best to code you've touched recently, don't refactor it. You refactor something you haven't touched in a month or two when the requirements aren't changing, your users are happy, and now you just need to tighten up the logic. Okay, so that's this file. Last one, test suite. Definitely has some ugliness. Not extend scene tree, extend node. We're not doing the book text scanner. We don't need to load the game state like this. We have our root folder, current root folder, current folder. Image count is not used. Well, I should go delete. Let me go skim for unused code first before I look at imports, because it's possible like this is used in commented out code that I'm about to delete anyway. So let me skim these functions. Parse args. Yep, that's fine. On ready. Some arguments for running it like that. Is debug is used. Is test suite is used. Verbose logs never really worked, but I wanted this to work. Oh, skip files. Yeah, I only really care about the skip files argument, which I have already. And then this would be changing logs. Yeah, let's just not do that. We already have a version of this for skip files. There's our test case filter. Have arguments to do. Move to bottom of Utils is utils.new. Ah, see, I can't do that. All right, let's clear all this out. I don't think we need this. If we needed it, we would have used it by now. Set up debugging. Pause scanning, connect. Initialize test results scorekeeper. So this was me creating a JSON object. Yeah, we can kill that. And then I had this tree quit. That wouldn't make sense here anyway. That's all fine. And then I do have this here. What is this from? OCR Manager Process? No, main process, right? Let me bring that over. Okay. Run next test is pretty tight. We do have this arbitrary sleep, which is kind of annoying, but okay. Maybe if nothing else, put it here. Just so that I get this log statement, so I can see, hey, it's starting on the next test, and then we'll have a brief delay, and then this happens, and and then we move on. It'll just help me with readability when I'm following the tests more closely. Okay, and then we exit tree. Log individual results. All looks fine. Log final report. Yeah, just a bunch of log statements. Parse JSON. Load expected results. So, file names. This is going to be the next thing. I'm actually kind of running out of time. This morning got away from me. But this is the next thing, is I do want to start bringing in multiple files. Because I need to test a scenario where we've changed pages. Maybe I'll grab 2 pages from The Hobbit and then have 2 versions of The Hobbit in here. Yeah, that could be a good idea. Build test case list. Load debug images. Pretty sure all this is used. Create folder. Right. which writes a text file. And then this isn't used, but it's a fun little function that I kind of want to keep around. So I think that's it. That is cleanup. So the next things would be, so I removed the broken test. So I do need to grab new images for page 2 test case. So I need to be able to handle page 2 in the test suite. And then grab new images of new pages. So for title paragraph swapping, for ending page, blank page on page 1, for page change. Okay, yeah, so fine. Grab new images of page 2 being the main focus. We renamed log, fixed console warnings. So we're already kind of halfway there. I do need to finish though. So git checkout -b. We're gonna do improve, or let's call it page 2 test cases. Let's call it that. That'll be our unique name for this. /af.sh. We'll do a git commit -m. Test cases. We'll call it cleanup. And yeah, just call it it's not. Sometimes I like to make it the PR title as well, since it'll automatically fill in there, but I can always change that. So let's just do cleanup GD scripts and remove bad test. And if we come here, we can change this to multiple new test cases and code cleanup. I just call it and some refactoring. Let's do that. And the last thing I might do real quick, I'll just do a build all, and I'll run the whole test suite just to make sure nothing broke. And then sometime later I'll run it on the headset, because I do need to record one last clip on the headset. And then we'll call it a day in just a moment. And we'll run the whole test suite. Yeah, no file changes. Yeah, the whole test suite's going to run twice as slow now because we're doing page 1 and page 2 every time. So I'm going to improve the test harness to handle that. And basically for a given test case, I don't know, maybe I can pass a setting or something to just tell it to skip page 2 or to skip page 1 selectively. This also means I don't want to have to scroll up every time because I'm used to it just being right there. Okay, we did break something. Something broke. Fun. Okay, well, I'll have to figure out what that was. Hold on, where's good? Just see real quick if I can see what the deal was. Here we go. Oh. Darn, I got the bad copy there. I don't think the issue was on good. The issue was kind of elsewhere. So it finished that. Done with page 0. Why are you running this test case? Okay, so that's the problem, I think. Maybe. Running test. Current test cases. Gotcha. So we append the test cases just by going off of the directory access. I'll refactor this because what I want it to do is it should go off of. So where's the expected test results? So load expected test results. This should be the one that defines the test cases. Because we can build all this out. We can set this here. And while we're here, we can also... Yeah, it's kind of silly that we would do it the other way. Like, we don't need to look at the file system. We do need to do it for, like, loading files, but we don't... I can trust myself that this is going to match exactly, because it already has to. So... Alright, there's some bugs to fix. Yeah. Yeah, I could probably merge these two functions. Alright, I think I'm going to stop there, though. Thank you for those hanging out with me, and I will chat with you later.